those of you that haven't seen this, take your right arm, put it out just like this, okay? For those of you that haven't seen me do this, take your thumb and forefinger, put it together just like this, okay? Follow me right down, bring it down, put it on your chin. Okay, freeze. Chin, cheek, okay? Chin, cheek. Okay, for those of you that followed me down to your cheek, who thought, did he say chin, did he say cheek? I'm not sure which one. Who just followed me naturally? Show of hands. Look around. Most of the room, okay? You followed me visually, and you followed me unconsciously, meaning there was no analytical thought to lead you where I wanted you to go. And that's what I'm going to start sharing with you today, is how to get your prospects and your clients to follow you, and they don't even know that they're being led to follow you. That's why I say stop selling and start closing more business. That's one of the biggest mistakes that most people make, is they're attempting to sell people. Wrong. We no longer want to sell people. You want to start leading people. I spoke at an event recently, and the speaker before me said, she said, always be closing and always be selling, always be selling, always be selling. And I thought that's incorrect. Always be leading. Let me ask you this. Who likes to be sold? Right? Actually, what happens when people try to sell you? What do? You resist, don't you? Okay? So it's never that you always want to be selling. You always want to be leading your prospect and your client unconsciously. We'll talk about exactly what that means and how to do it. And speaking of how to do it, how do I use this? Okay. There was a Tylenol commercial. It was about 10 years ago. I've looked for it on YouTube. I can't find it. It's one of the most powerful commercials I've ever seen. It's 19 words. I'm going to tell you the commercial, then I'm going to come back through it and tell you why the commercial is so influential and why it's so persuasive. The commercial comes on the first week of November. Little boy sitting on a bed, he's sniffling and he's sneezing. You can see rain pattering down on the windows. You can see the trees swaying in the background. And the narrator says, "Moms, cold and flu season is here. When your little one gets sick, you can depend on children's Tylenol." Let me ask you this. If you heard that the first week of November, "Moms, cold and flu season is here." Show of hands, who would argue with that? Half, okay, argue no. All right. No one would argue with that. I'm surprised Nina didn't raise her hand, though.
I wasn't going to get into it, but yes, it's all about what you think is right.
Exactly. Well, let's look at this.
And that's what you're working on.
Moms, cold and flu season is here. When mothers hear that, they do not think analytically, well, is it here? Is it not here? Well, it was here last year, but it's not here this year, right? And normally I'll ask I'll ask people in the audience, pull out a day planner. No one really has one anymore. And I'll say, turn to turn to November, when's Thanksgiving? And they'll always say, well, it's the third Thursday. And I'll say, when is the first day of cold and flu season? There's not one, right? There is no first day of cold and flu season. Yet, when the announcer says, the narrator says, "Moms, cold and flu season is here," none of you argued with it, which means a suggestion has now been put down, and you're now operating on that suggestion. Okay? Yes?
Okay, so now I just have to say, along with the visualizations and positive affirmations, when you hear that, your first thought is cancel because you want to stay healthy.
I stay healthy. I've not been sick since I've not been to the doctor since 1992.
Seasons for cold and flu came about from pharmaceutical companies.
Well, we can dialogue a little here. That's true. No, that's true. And that's a public service announcement for today, because I am a hypnotist. We'll talk a little bit about that. When most people say, "I'm not going to get sick, I'm not going to get sick," when it actually should be, "I stay healthy and I stay well," different commands to the unconscious mind. Notice the second part of the equation. When your little one gets sick. I didn't say if your little one gets sick, which means they're already presupposing that it is true that your little one will get sick. Now, for most moms, what do you tell your little ones when you hear this commercial? What do you tell them? Come on. It's after lunch, I know. Come on. Mothers, what do you say?
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands. Stay warm, bundle up, and then mothers also say this. You're going to get sick, you're going to get sick, you're going to get sick. Right? Now what happens to the little one? They get sick, and who can you depend on? Children's Tylenol. Okay, notice 19 words, all below the level of conscious awareness. If you do not analyze that commercial, you then start operating on it, you then start acting on it, and it becomes a part of your belief system, okay? So this is what we're going to talk about today, is how to give people suggestions, how to lead people, how to plant suggestions that they begin operating on, and they're not even aware that they've begun to operate on it. Pretty cool, right? Yes. I'm going to teach you how to do it, and actually I'm going to give you phrases later today, actual things that you can say to start leading people immediately.